Okay, this is Moshe coming to you from Israel and the Galilee, and today is the 8th of September. It's 8:34 in the morning, and we're at 80 degrees already, high 94. Tomorrow worse, 95. Then we start dropping. Oh, not really, but it's horrible. Please pray for us for cooler weather in my area. I appreciate it. You've been praying for me with my packages and customs and stuff, and it seems to be moving along now. Um, Not bad signs, good signs, but it's not done yet. So please keep praying that I don't have problems with packages going through customs, that everything is okay and everything goes quickly and smoothly. Please, this is my red light stuff and I really want it badly. Um, okay. What we're going to talk about today is going to revolve heavily around the missiles that Iran recently gave to Russia or is in the process of delivering. It's unclear if they got them yet or they still have yet to get them. I think they got them already. And this is causing major uprisings, big time. I mean, Ukraine threatened Iran. Ukraine said that if any civilians get hurt by these missiles they gave to Russia, they're going to pay back Iran double. Now, they did to Iran what Iran does to everybody else. Now, the thing is, Iran has lost face, okay? America is super mad at Iran regarding the missiles going to Russia, which follows a few months ago, like 15,000 drones were given to Russia. So Iran is propping up Russia in the fight in Ukraine, and the EU, NATO, especially America, and Israel, of course, are very, very angry at Iran right now. I'm telling you, it's big, okay? This is big. Turkey has turned on America. I'll tell you the story with the USS Wasp in Turkey, the real details that they didn't release. And it appears, I'm getting conflicting reports this morning. I'm pretty sure it'll focus out, or, I'll get the absolute details later in the day, but it appears that Hamas added new demands in the ceasefire talks, and it appears that America broke off the ceasefire talks. They said that's it, enough. They're not going to bother anymore. And I'm going to combine that with what Iran is doing with supporting Russia with weapons, and I'm going to paint the picture for you, and it's not going to be hard to follow what's coming. Okay? Yes, Bible prophecy is being fulfilled, Jeremiah 49, we'll go through that today, but you'll see it without Bible prophecy, and then hopefully you realize it is Bible prophecy coming to pass. The Venezuelan gangs in America, we're going to talk about that. And what else? What Hezbollah is doing to Israel, which is basically about 100 missiles and rockets a day with some drones, very lightweight on the drones, going into the north of Israel, which is about 95% evacuated, hitting Israeli command posts, little towers where they watch, stuff like that. And typically they don't get any casualties. And Israel still keeps attacking over there, over in Lebanon. And the Houthis have not tagged any ships with missiles or drones or UAV boats in some days. They've had a lot of problems with UK and America jets bombing radar and any missile launches they could see. And Yemen got fairly well devastated with rains and flooding. So I don't know exactly what the cause is, probably a combination of the two. So they've been just able to keep the threats going. They haven't really done anything. The attacks coming out of Syria from Iran-backed militias are very sporadic and minimal, just to keep their, name out there or something, I posted on my Telegram a analysis from a former American general who was giving a cry out that World War III is coming. And he talked like me to some extent without the Bible: North Korea, China, Iran, and Russia. And we're going to break all this down and go through an analysis what Iran and Hezbollah and Hamas are trying to do, what Biden's trying to do, what NATO's trying to do, the EU, what Russia's trying to do, and China is the one. China and North Korea have to be watched very closely. Now, remember, North Korea has given weapons, missiles, and various weapons to Russia also. And China sent 18,000 soldiers over to help Russia and Ukraine so far, and it's likely more will come. Yeah, you heard me right. That was about 10 days ago. So they might be there, they may not be there. I expect they probably used some ships. They may have used aircraft. I don't know. We're not getting a lot of details. China's not giving press releases out on this stuff. And, every day, well, not every day, a few days a week in Taiwan, they surround the island with warships, Chinese warships, and they fly dozens of planes into Taiwan airspace. And that's to keep the psychological warfare going against Taiwan and America and Japan and South Korea and Guam and all of them. And it's a very clever tactic, because by now Taiwan and America probably don't think too much about it. Oh, here we go again. Oh, here we go. I mean, it must be 50 times now, in recent months. So, if not 80 or 90, and, it's just a bluff until one day it's not, and it's real. That's what China's doing. They're taking the edge off their enemies. So you got to understand that, okay? Just in passing, I got reports that some Walmart stores have raised the price overnight of butter and eggs about 40%. I didn't do the exact, but it's almost half. So in other words, the price went up 1.5 times. Well, it went up by half. So like $2 would be $3, that kind of thing. So it's pretty serious. Peanut butter also went up. In some Walmarts, I don't know if it's all Walmarts. And the northeastern states are talking about doing a curfew. I think some places already put it into effect for 3 weeks, telling people to stay off the streets from 6 in the evening to 6 in the morning, because they're going to be doing aerial bug spraying, because they're worried about mosquitoes carrying Nile viruses, which have so far affected some small amount of livestock. That's not a lockdown, it's a curfew. What they do to you when you go out on the street, I don't know. It could be just a warning, I mean, I don't think it was done where the police and the highway patrol and the sheriff are going to pull you over and put you in jail because you're out there. They'll probably ask you, why did you go out there, and say, oh, I had no food, or I need formula or diapers, my baby's crying, or, Now, you also got to remember there's a tremendous amount of people that go to work that are going to have to be out there. Supermarket workers, drugstore workers, 7-Eleven workers, fire, hospital, ambulance, police, water, electricity, possibly road repair, and I could keep going. There's a whole lot of people that need to be out. So, I would say this is a soft curfew. I don't think it would be like when a hurricane or some weather catastrophe hits and houses are ruined and they're trying to stop looters. That's a heavy curfew. This is not a heavy curfew. It's just um, for protection of the people. Around 1980, they did this in California. They sprayed for bugs for some reason. I can't remember what it was. And it was done during a night from helicopters and stuff like that. And it was getting on cars and things like that. I don't recall anybody getting sick or anything from it. But if you're out in the street and it falls on you, then you might have some issues. So that's the stuff we're going to cover and dissect and compare it to Jeremiah 49, prophecy against Iraq, Syria, Iran, and also Yemen, which is Edom. And that's what we're going to cover today. And I'm going to go jump into the live stream and see if we got sound and picture and put a couple of fast posts up while people are coming in. And we're going to discuss how Iran could actually strike, how Ukraine could actually strike Iran. There's not much Iran could do to Ukraine, you got to remember that. Someone wrote about eggs, and I don't know if there's anything to it, but our two big dogs are allergic to chicken and chicken products, which eggs are. So we can't give them any chicken, and that's interesting. The little dogs eat it every day. They're happy with it. Okay, good. We got sound and picture. Let me put a couple of very fast posts up there, and then we'll go through it. Most of the channels just bait you and they try to keep you there, and then they discuss the topics. I just gave you the condensed version up front, and you can tell what's going to happen and make decisions as to if you want to hear it or not. I'm going to put my email address up there very quickly right now, and you can use that to send in prayer requests. Please give me the two initials of the person you want the request for. And you can also post prayer requests in the chat and toss salad requests too. I'm just about done. Okay. Being a Bible-believing site, I'm going to do some praise. If you join in or not, it's up to you. I have no control. There is no God like Jehovah. 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 There is no Messiah like Yeshua. 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 Boy, I love that red light stuff. It's really working. Yesterday I took a day off from it because they say that's a good thing to do every now and then. And so I took some vitamins, which I learned not to take when you do the red light therapy because it enhances the absorption. They say something like that. So I took 2B complexes, which is what it says on there to take, and I took something else which is for the eyes, and man, I felt like I was jumping out of my skin, like I took way too much B12 or something like that, which I didn't, but it just enhances it, you know. And no, I had other positive results from it too. So anyway, I'm not a doctor or a medical professional. That's just my anecdotal experiences, what I've been experienced with this, and I can't wait to get these other devices because after months of this and hundreds of hours of research, I've learned what devices work and why they work. And the whole industry is full with lies and deceit and people trying to make money, and a tremendous amount of the information coming out is coming out from manufacturers that make these products and sell them. And there's another guy that does a very good job of reviewing products and interviewing people in the industry, mostly owners of companies that sell products. And he gives a relatively fair examination of them. But he gives you a code to use, and then you get a discount when you use the code. Usually it's a small discount, 5, maybe 10%, and he probably gets more than that as a commission. And he discloses that. He doesn't say how much he gets. And I believe the guy has a fairly generous income stream from this. So he promotes products that are not really the right products, but which is called red light panels. And, you know, he tells you how he does it. He uses 4 panels, which are costly. They're probably $1,200 each. They're hooked together to make a big one. And what I've heard him say, but he doesn't emphasize it, is that when you stand in front of these panels, which typically are 36 inches by 19 inches across and inch and a half thick or something, when you stand in front of those, a tremendous amount of the light misses your body. And then your skin reflects light back, like for the sun. So a tremendous amount of the light gets reflected back. So some researchers that would normally be getting government grants, PhDs, MDs, stuff like that, say up to 88% of the light from a panel doesn't do you any good. That maybe is a little severe, but I think if we were going to be more realistic, it's probably 75% at least is missing you. So by putting 4 panels up, he loses 3/4 of it, so all the power from one panel gets in, basically. So he explains that, but not the way I did, you know, because then people aren't going to want to buy it. How many people out there are going to spend, you know, well, you got to have hookups, and it's probably 6 with shipping and everything, maybe $7,000-8,000, and some of them are much more. Now, that's not the ideal solution. That's a bad solution, okay? It's not a good solution. So I don't follow that. But the athletes mostly do. A tremendous amount of professional athletes are using red light therapy, which also includes near infrared. And they're buying devices, some of them are $120,000. They call them a bed, and they're not effective. Not as effective as the other devices. So there's a guy named, I think, Hamlin, who was a Harvard professor that retired recently, talking about this, which is called photobiomodulation. And he said that you've got to put those panels in direct contact with your skin so the light hits your skin, hits your body, and it doesn't reflect off when you have direct contact. Now, this one guy, who I would say is the good guy, the white hat of the industry pretty much, he talks about it, he mentions it, but he doesn't emphasize it on all his videos. Maybe he mentions it once every 2 years, you see. So he's benefiting by people buying these panels, which makes them think they're very good. And they are, if all you want to do is treat your skin and you just want a general body sweep. It'll make you feel good, but it doesn't work for ailments. Like, you're not going to get a good effect for trying to cure things, joint pain, or things wrong with you. It won't work. It won't work well at all, you know. So, you know, the whole industry is screwed up. So I have a heavy marketing background. I have an MBA, and, you know, I know a lot about advertising and marketing. So it took me, I don't know how many hours, probably between 100 and 200 hours to go through everything that I could find and put the pieces together and then try things. And then finally I arrived at, and I prayed a lot that the Lord would show me, and he did. And then I finally figured out what's going to work and not going to work. And, you know, it's hard. I mean, you got to get into different frequencies or wavelengths, power. You know, it's an amazing thing, but this stuff works. And then I found out it's been around for 35, 40 years. But in the last 2 years, it really soared in its effectiveness because it got competitive, and they started making different products with more wavelengths, more, you know, iridescence power, and, you know, they really have come, in the last 6 months, they've come amazingly far with these things. So the old guys like Hamlin, who retired from Harvard, who wrote books, but the books were back like 2015, 17, 19, 21. It's out of date. And these are medical textbooks. They sell for over $200. I didn't buy any. I just listened to a lot of his interviews on various YouTube channels. He's a very friendly guy, and he's a wealth of knowledge. You know, and he calls it straight, but, you know, he's not tuned in to the current advances. The other thing is, when you read the studies, these are mostly medical doctors, these bums don't tell you how they did it. They tell you what light they applied, the frequency. They don't tell you the device. They don't give you a picture. They don't describe it. And they give you an idea as the total amount of light energy they put in. So you have very little idea of the device they use. Now, this guy I talked about, the white hat, says he's going to publish some articles that is going to describe the actual device they use. And they always use, or almost always use, direct contact in the skin. See, they know what works and what doesn't work, but they don't tell you. They don't want the public, apparently they don't want competitors or public, or I don't know, to know how to exactly do it, because doctors could have liability issues if they teach people how to treat themselves. So they don't reveal that information. So the whole industry, it's a great thing, but it's obscured with profit makers, and, you know, it's not. You can get a decent product from China for $200 to $300. It would be a panel. It would be about 24 inches high or something like that. Hold on, this could be my customs problems. Hello. Hi. Hi. Good. I hope I'm doing things right. I'm very confused about what I need to do and not do. Hold on a second. I've got to go out of the room for a minute. One second. I'll be back in a minute, guys. I got some attachments. guys. They're trying to help me on the phone. I'm sorry. This may take a few minutes. I'll do the best I can, but this is very important to me. So have a coffee break. I'm sorry. sorry about that, guys. She was trying to be helpful. She was telling me I gotta come down to Tel Aviv and show her my ID card in person, or else I have to fill out this government website that establishes your identity. And I have tried filling it out for 3 or 4 hours. Every time I get it, it doesn't tell me I have an error, but it doesn't let me submit it. So I don't know what to do, except maybe have a friend try with a Windows computer or something like that. I don't know what else to do. I'm stuck. So please keep praying for me. All right, we'll go back to the broadcast and worry about that later in the day. She's not sending the package back anyway. I hate when that happens, but I couldn't do much about it. All right. So I think the big takeaway here with Ukraine and Russia is Iran sending the missiles to Russia. These are short-range ballistic missiles. We don't know how many they sent, but it's probably in the hundreds. Russia is apparently hurting for missiles, and Iran has a ton, so they're helping Russia. If I was going to guess, in Iran's plan, which doesn't mean it's going to come to pass, but Iran's plan is to help Russia get control of Ukraine, and then Russia will send aid, probably in the form of airplanes and other things, to Iran to deter an American attack and probably help them fight Israel. Iran's in no position to do anything like Russia's in no position right now. They're in bad shape. Ukraine, I would say in the last 36 hours or so, hit a massive, I'm telling you, a massive arms depot in Russia, inside Russia. Secondary explosions like crazy for hours. And it started a huge fire around Russia. I believe they evacuated cities. I mean, it was a massive victory for Ukraine in terms of getting rid of weapons. It was in Russia, so Russia probably wasn't that worried about it. And it probably had missiles, artillery, bullets, grenades, everything, you know. Russia's not doing so good. Russia's in trouble. They keep giving red lines to NATO and America that get violated consistently. America, NATO, and the EU are pretty dedicated to putting an end to Russia. If Russia gets away with this in Ukraine, then it's going to be, you know, like Poland or Romania or Lithuania, Latvia, you know, it's going to be, you know, he's going to be like Hitler, knocking countries off here, there, and everywhere. So, what Putin wants to do is he wants to get all these countries back, like the old USSR, and create a massive buffer zone between the heart of Russia and NATO. And we're talking thousands of miles, which gives him great security. Because that creates a lot of complications with missiles, because now you need missiles that go a very long way, which gives you more time to take them down. Ground invasion is very, very difficult for NATO because they got to traverse through these other countries, and it could be 1,500 miles. And then there's economic considerations that would help Russia and so forth. So, they seem rather well dedicated to just feeding all the weapons needed into Ukraine. And now that the F-16s are starting to show up, Ukraine is running ads for retired F-16 military pilots to come work as mercenaries. So Iran's not going to heed Zelensky's warning from Ukraine, nor Biden's warnings, and they will send the missiles to Russia. They will know, America probably knows they already did it. And Russia will use them and they will kill civilians. So the question is, what does Ukraine do? If they do nothing, there's no deterrent value, and Iran will continue feeding weapons to Russia. Zelensky's idea is to stop the flow of weapons into Russia from Ukraine, from Iran. So Ukraine cannot attack Iran. They don't have missiles for that. They don't have aircraft. They can't do a ground invasion. They can't do it. So what can Zelensky do? Remember, Zelensky's Jewish. Zelensky could send a big bunch of soldiers to Israel. He could just fly them in. I don't know what, probably special forces, highly trained, combat seasoned troops. Probably something like 20,000. And deploy them against Hezbollah or Gaza or Syria. The most likely places would not be Hezbollah or Syria. It would be Gaza, number one, number two, Hezbollah. And we are going to do a ground incursion into Lebanon. They're shooting about 100 missiles a day at us. So we got to go in. Now, they're long-range missiles that they could use to demolish, or they say they could demolish the major cities in Israel are pretty defunct. So Israel's getting pretty sick and tired of, all these missiles every single day. The Israeli public is pretty tired of it too. Now, at the same time, Israel is in the process of turning the West Bank into where the terrorists are located, which is predominantly Jenin, Hebron, Nablus. They're going to go in there and make it into another Gaza. It's already begun. It's well on its way. We're using aircraft, drones, tanks, everything. And again, we're dealing with the Netanyahu idiocy of attacking the leaders. We're almost 1 year with Hamas and we've attacked their leaders. Has it done any good? No. Does Netanyahu change his position? No. Is it a stupid idea? Yes. Why? Because if you get rid of the soldiers and the equipment they have, then you got leaders that can do nothing except pick up a rifle, which is silly. Netanyahu is buffooning the people of Israel into thinking this idiocy of killing the leaders is an effective plan. And on social media, they put up pictures of the dead leaders of these terrorist groups. It's absolutely of no effect. It's really not very effective. Now, the thought is if they get enough leaders more in Gaza, the Hezbollah troops, which is probably 25,000 of them anyway, still alive in there, will be ineffective. And, to an extent, yeah, Yeah, but, so what? They'll just hold out and fight to the last bullet. So the only thing that Ukraine could really do, because Iran is helping their enemy, Russia. Iran has not directly attacked Ukraine. So Ukraine won't attack Iran directly, they'll attack their proxies. And the interpretation would be Russia's a proxy of Iran, which it really isn't, but get the general idea. And the next question is, would Netanyahu get involved in this and let them come in? I don't know. The other thing Ukraine could try to do is sabotage and terrorist acts on Iran. If Netanyahu doesn't let them come in, Netanyahu might say, look, it's just going to create a lot of crazy publicity. It's going to create confusion. Our soldiers, we have a language barrier. We don't know each other, how we operate. And he'd probably turn it down. I mean, if Zelensky came up and said, oh, I'm going to send, 25 or 40,000 troops, that would be tempting to Israel, because it would give us some relief, but I don't believe we're suffering from a shortage of troops at all. So Biden is having Israel pelted now for 11 plus months of missiles and rockets, either from Hamas or Hezbollah, including one big burst from Iran and multiple bursts from the Iran-backed militias in Iraq and Syria. So that's consistent with Biden's plan that Israel doesn't win the war, and we make life in Israel so hard the Jews leave. This is Satan's doctrine, that the Jews would leave and no more Jews would come, and we cripple them economically, and we do a war of attrition. So Israel's trying to clean up the West Bank probably before they invade Hezbollah, which is rather intelligent, tactic, because they don't want to see a big unleashing of these people in the West Bank. While they got boots on the ground inside Lebanon. So it's not that difficult, because they don't have missiles and rockets and aircraft and boats and tanks, and it's not that hard. And it's well underway. It's getting larger and larger by the day. It's in an advanced state. It's probably going to result in a couple of thousand dead terrorists, but it's nowhere near the type of a threat that you have with Lebanon and Gaza and Syria and Iraq. So, you got to imagine how the people in Israel feel, okay? Hezbollah is attacking us every day trying to kill civilians, and the UN does nothing. Okay? Now, the UN has troops there called UNFIL for many years that are supposed to stop this from happening, stopping Hezbollah from being south of the Litani River, which is 17, 18 miles from Israel. And they've done nothing and continue to do nothing. And the UN doesn't change these troops, bring more troops in, or do anything because they're very happy to see Hezbollah pounding Israel. You got another explanation? Let me hear it. If they weren't happy about it, they would end it. They're not ending it. They're letting it continue. And so is Biden. They're very happy with this. A lot of Israelis have left Israel. Nobody's publishing studies, but, you know, they got relatives or a place to go, they got money, they go to some other country, and they're riding out the war. And they want to see more and more of this. They want to see our economy get worse and worse. They want to see tourism go away. The tourist companies could go bankrupt eventually. The guys with the buses, the guys with the B&Bs, the tour guides, the whole thing. The hotels. It can go bust. And they want that. That's what they're looking for. Okay? They call it a war of attrition. Iran's too scared to do any attacking of Israel right now. Netanyahu said, we're going to take out your oil and gas industry. He knows we could do it. That'll be the end of the country. They're not attacking Israel. America keeps saying, oh, they'll attack every day. That's psychological warfare against America, against Israel, to push us into a ceasefire. Now, this is what I know about Hamas. I would say in the last 24 to 36 hours, Hamas put new demands in the ceasefire proposal. They added demands. And this is what caused Biden to just throw his hands up and say, okay, remember he was warning he's going to stop negotiating and this is the last chance, and then Hamas changed the terms, and my understanding is America stopped trying to negotiate with this. Now we know Blinken's coming to the Middle East, I would imagine this week. I don't have the exact date yet. He's pretty worthless, you know. I don't know what he intends to do here. Probably prep for war or talk, ceasefire talks. So just because Biden said we're finished, we're not going to do it anymore, doesn't mean he means it. So I don't know. Okay? It appears that America's finished with the ceasefire talks, but you never know. The Satan bots are taught by the unclean spirits to have a position of never give up. So they keep going back and renegotiating. It's a stupid doctrine, but that's how he teaches them. So, combine this with Iran giving the missiles to Russia, which Biden, they really renounced Iran for that. They used the word, the government said that Iran was escalating. When they gave the missiles to Russia, they used the word escalating. That's an attack on Iran on the way. So Biden breaks off the ceasefire talks to teach Iran a lesson, and then unleashes Israel on Hamas more fully. More weapons, shipments come in and stuff like that. Bunker buster bombs, which we already got a lot of, I don't know. There's a lot of talk about tunnels in the West Bank going into Israel. Now, the IDF has said they're not aware of any tunnels going into Israel. But over the years, people have heard rumbling noises under their houses, which is the digging of tunnels. So there might be tunnels the IDF is not aware of. There's certainly were a lot of tunnels in Gaza they were never aware of. Now they're aware of them. But so that might be their plan, to come in with tunnels and do another October 7th. This takes me back to that piece of garbage called Netanyahu, keeping the Israelis under relatively strict gun control. You understand, in Israel, exerting gun control on the Jews is, let's say, on a 10 scale, it's the most moronic thing you could imagine, and the Israelis put up with it. They should throw him out of office immediately. If every Jew could walk into a store, get a criminal records check like in America, and walk out with a handgun that you could carry exposed or concealed, what terrorism would there be? None. What terrorism would there be? They'd get shot dead in the street. The blood is on Netanyahu for this, and God will judge him for that. He is not for the Israel you're for. He wants a fake Israel, run by despots, deceivers, Talmudic rabbis. That's his idea. Okay? Abominable, immoral practices. Anything to make life hard for the Israelis, Netanyahu is behind it. I'm telling you. 20 years of this garbage bucket. The dollar used to buy, back in the 90s, about 2.5 shekels, 2.75 shekels. Now it buys 3.75 shekels. Thank you, Netanyahu, for running the value of the shekel down, you piece of garbage. You see? Crazy banking controls on the people to make them nuts. Crazy motor vehicle controls with the cars to make the people nuts. Crazy taxes to make the people nuts. Crazy this, crazy that. Just make the people worse and worse and worse, so they leave Israel. That's the Satan doctrine. Satan's afraid to come here and try to throw the Jews out, because he tried that many times or kill them, and it didn't work, and Israel got more land back. So instead, he's trying to scare the Jews into just leaving without actually having to do an invasion. But he will do the invasion, or try it. He gets as far as the siege. So probably 50% of our problem is the government of Israel. What kind of government lets Hezbollah launch rockets into the country for 11 months? Now, they could always tell you, oh, international pressure. They use that to get away with whatever they want. How do you know it's not international cooperation? You don't. Because they want it. Okay? They're not walking with Jehovah, believe me. So we've got this war all dragged out in Gaza. Now, yeah, there's international pressure, that's for sure. And there always will be. The only people that seem to make any sense with this is Bezalel Smotrich and Ben Gvir. They say things like, well, if our allies want to talk to us, we sit down and talk to them. But we don't have to listen to them. America signed a treaty agreement with Israel when we gave Gaza back to defend us. Have they ever defended us against Hamas? No. Have they given us weapons? Yes. Did they hold the weapons back for weeks and weeks and weeks because they didn't like what we were doing? Yes. Was that consistent with the treaty? I doubt it. What kind of treaty would that be? Does Netanyahu ever get out in the public and say, we have a treaty with America, present a written treaty when we gave Gaza back and America's not abiding by it? No. He doesn't say that. More than half of Israel supports Netanyahu now. Now, there still could be a ceasefire. Hamas has been trying to get America to put pressure on Israel. But, you see, when Iran starts giving missiles to Russia, Hamas is a child of Iran. Biden's done with that. You know, Iran can't walk both sides of the fence. They can't give missiles to Russia and then expect good things to happen for Hamas so they could survive and be around another day. That much the Biden administration is aware of. So Iran has stuck their finger in Biden's eye and messing with him in Russia, which is very important to him. So now he has to put pressure on Iran. The way to put pressure on Iran is to support Israel finishing off Hamas and occupying Gaza and support Israel attacking Hezbollah. Now, if Iran loses Hezbollah and Hamas, they lost Hamas now, but Hamas could still be revived. If they lose them and there's no chance of revival, Iran's going to not support them and pay them. They'll try to revive them for a while, but then they'll give up. Without the proxies, Iran is weak. Is real weak. The fact that their proxy, Yemen, was attacking international shipping and actually destroying ships and causing people to detour around the bottom of Africa with their ships is not going unnoticed. Now, what happened with Turkey? The USS Wasp, which is one of those small aircraft carriers, it takes vertical takeoff jets, maybe it could carry 12 at most, and probably maybe 18 helicopters, and 1,500 Expeditionary Force Marines with some equipment, artillery, tanks, missile pods, blah, blah, blah. It had trouble. It was out in the Mediterranean, and it had trouble with its water tanks and its water purification system breaking down. So it needed repairs. It'd take about 36 hours. I believe they got to take the water tanks out. They say the water tanks had jet fuel in them. So they probably have to take them out, open them up, steam clean them, put them back together with welding or whatever, and scrub everything up and then put them back, and then it should work. So there was a drinking water shortage because the boat probably has a desalinization plant on it or equipment on it, and it probably stores the water in these tanks, and they had no means they could desalinize the water, but they had no place to keep it. So they needed drinking water, and they needed to get this repair. So there's a base, either it's a NATO or an American base in Turkey. So the Wasp went and docked up at Turkey, and the guys needed to get off the ship because there was no water on the boat. The Turkish people appeared in large numbers at the pier, blocking the sailors from getting off the boat, the USS Wasp, and going to the base. So the soldiers had to run the gauntlet through the crowd, and they grabbed two of these, well, they're sailors, they grabbed two of them, and they beat him up. One, they covered his head with a bag and beat him up some. So they couldn't get through that way. So apparently they went back to the base, and then they got buses, I don't know from who, and they put the sailors on the buses, and they were able to get the buses over to the base, and that's where the sailors are. And now it'll be more difficulty getting back to the ship, but they'll probably get it. Now, Turkey did not send the police or the military to protect them or help them. Okay, so what kind of a NATO ally is Turkey? A very bad one. Turkey is calling for all the Arab countries to assemble in unity against Israel, whatever that means. Is he calling to attack us, to surround us, to just boycott us? We don't know yet. Now, the other countries may not pay attention to Erdogan either. We don't know what will happen yet. So he's a NATO member, and he's calling for a big conspiracy of many countries against Israel. You know, an embargo is a war, basically a declaration of war. So that would be at least the minimum he's up to, you know. He's talked in the past about raising a 5 million man army and attacking Israel and getting rid of them once and for all. And that's a NATO member. Now, he controls the Bosphorus Straits, which is a little pincher point where Erdogan has missiles and artillery on the sides of it. And if ships go through it to go from the Black Sea to the Mediterranean, and this is very important to Russia. And Erdogan could shut that off and stop Russian ships from going through. And it appears that's why they want him in NATO. It appears also that Erdogan knows that's why they want him in NATO, and he could get away with a lot, and they're going to be reluctant to throw him out of NATO. Not only did he do this with the USS Wasp, but he also, I believe it was on the same day, announced that he was going to join BRICS, which is a slap in the face to NATO. Yet he intends to do it. So they got a problem with Turkey, and America, of course, is always guilty of inaction. So yeah, there's going to be an attack. Um, on Iran, believe me. At this point, if I was going to guess how it would start, it would be America with other countries do attack on missile building and drone building facilities in Iran, which you can't really build drone and missile factories under the ground very easily. I mean, probably they're above ground. And also they probably have warehouses above ground so they can get the stuff moved when they want to. So Iran and or other countries like Israel and others, the UK, would assemble target packages, send a bunch of their stealth jets in, take out their radar, send more heavy payload jets like F-15s and Eurofighters, Typhoon fighters, and attack the physical weapons facilities and storehouses in Iran to punish them and deplete their weapons supply. They may also attack weapons launchers as well, because the missiles can be offloaded from the launchers and sent to Russia, so they'll attack that also, I expect. They're not going to start by attacking their oil and gas industry. Iran will promise all kinds of reprisals, and I don't know if they'll do anything. I imagine they will. And it'll probably be try to unleash on the American and British bases in Iraq and Syria. And that'll probably cause more escalation from America until they bomb Iran so bad everybody has to leave the country, which is what Jeremiah 49 explains to us. But prophecy just gives you the end result of it, tells you what's going to happen, and shows you how it ends, but it doesn't tell you all the little steps preceding it and building up and how it actually, unravels. It's not something that they normally, are going to talk about. Okay. Hold on a second. Let me look at the chat here for a second. So we're watching this America thing very carefully with Iran, with Russia, with Israel, and all of that. It's not entirely clear how things are going to develop. We can just guess. Let me see what else I got for you here on my notes. Supermarkets in America are hiring armed guards to stop Venezuelan gangs from going in and stealing lots of food. That is, here's the implications of that. They're going to use metal detectors, the wands or the walkthrough, and if they find you with a gun, they're going to tell you it's a no-gun zone, probably. And then you got to make a decision, put your gun in your car and go back in and trust some $12 an hour security guard to protect you, or go find another store. Multiple cities are going for a 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. curfew, mostly around Vermont and Maine, because of these mosquitoes passing on I think it's the Nile virus, and they're going to be spraying during the night hours to get rid of it. They're fearful of this. It's not a lockdown, it's a curfew, and like I said, it's probably a soft curfew. In other words, if you went out to the movies or something like that, I don't think much would happen to you. I think they just want keep people off the street, so they don't get hit with this spray, which is probably not all that healthy for people to have hit their skin and stuff like that. And they're also saying that there's going to be a frost up in the northern east quadrant of America in October. They'll start having cold temperatures, and they believe that'll kill the mosquitoes, and I think they're probably right. Remember, in America, the workers that do the planting and the harvesting are going to leave America out of fear of the sword and return to their own countries, and we haven't seen that yet. So remember that. That's in Jeremiah 50 and 51. I think Iran's answer to America, don't send any more weapons to Russia, is going to be send more weapons to Russia out of defiance. Because they're going to think that America's never going to attack them over things like this. Ukraine threatened Iran, and let's bear in mind that America may help Iran, and the NATO may help Iran do something bad, and may help Ukraine rather do something bad to Iran. They use Ukraine to do bad things to Russia. They'll use Ukraine to do bad things to Iran. So the threats of Zelensky may be far from empty. We have a prayer request here for a dog named Merry, M-E-R-R-Y, like, happy and merry, M-E-R-R-Y. A dog has an issue with the nose, so pray for healing for the dog Merry, M-E-R-R-Y, nose. Don't know what's causing it. Pray for the dog Merry for the nose to be healed. Okay? I want to remind you that there's a lot of false prophets running around as per scripture, but I noticed they have this is how they do it. Now, when they say they have a dream about the future and things like that, they're giving you a prophecy. Some prophets had dreams and visions. They're giving you a prophecy. They're false prophets. Okay, so they're going to be very unspecific. They're going to talk about, this is a shaking, this is an awakening, this is a reckoning, this is a judgment, this is that. They're not going to tell you any specifics because they don't want to be nailed as a false prophet. So they're not going to tell you when it's going to happen. They're not going to tell you specifically to what country. And if they do name a country, they're not going to be specific as to what's going to happen, specifically where or when, and timing or anything like that. And they're not going to be able to give you Bible prophecies for much of what they do. Okay? If they give you a Bible prophecy, they're not prophesying. They're reading you the prophecy. And Satan doesn't have much interest in teaching the Bible. Okay? So don't expect that you're going to see anything resembling the prophecies in the Bible from these idiots. You're not, okay? You're not going to see it. All right, again, if you have questions, I'll try to handle questions as long as they're somewhat related to what we're talking about. Let's see, we got another. Okay, we want to pray for a dog named Nora, N-O-R-A, a dog named Nora. Pray for healing for an injured foot and for something called cherry eye. Cherry eye is a condition that you get in bulldogs. My Neapolitan Mastiffs, one of them had it once. It's like a bulbous thing coming out of the eye. Well, it's really like one of the coverings of the eye, and it looks scary as all get up when it's on. But what they do is they put the dog to sleep for like 3 minutes, and they take it out, and it's usually fine. But it looks scary as all get up. So the dog can't get into the vet for 18 days. So pray for the dog named Nora for healing for the foot, healing for the cherry eye, and if needed to go to the vet, gets in soon. Okay? It's a scary looking thing. It's very distracting. The dog doesn't really... I'm going to take your post down now for your own privacy, okay? I'm not blocking it. The dog doesn't usually seem to be in pain or anything like that. So my Neo, when he had it, was maybe 8 months old or something like that, and I had a pair of them. I was breeding them, and the other one was, I don't know, 2, 3 years old. She was in heat. So we took them, we found a vet, and they tack it down. They stitch it down. They break it and they stitch it down and it heals. So she said, okay, she needed to put him to sleep. So she knocked him out for a few minutes, and she did it. She came out and she said, yeah, everything's fine. It's nothing. I'm telling you, it just looks scary. And she was right. And then we took him home, and about, I don't know, a half hour after they knocked him out, an hour at most, he mated with the female right after anesthesia. These dogs had incredible strength and energy. It was unbelievable, you know. I mean, it was something. The problem with the Neo is that they bond to everybody in the family. The kids, you know, if you got elderly people living with you or whatever, they bond to the family, the people in the house. And they'll protect any and all of them with their lives. They don't need training to do that. It's unnecessary. They're built that way. But they have no use for anybody else. They have no use for grandma and grandpa coming to visit, or neighbors or friends. They don't like it. And they show aggression towards them. And they could attack. They won't attack the family. Once they know you're the family, they won't attack. So if you bring one in as an adult, you got to be a little careful for a while, you know, till they realize you're their, you know, their new father and mother or whatever. They don't like water. They don't go in swimming pools. Don't try to put them in the pool. They're not going to like it. They'll get if you start dragging them into the pool, they may get aggressive on you. I learned that the hard way. She didn't get aggressive, but I was trying to get her in the water to show it was safe, and she gave me a look. And I said, okay, she really is trying to figure out what I'm up to. This is a bad thing, and I never pushed it again. What they'll do when they want to once her. Now, mind you, the male was 125 pounds of solid muscle. And he had a head like huge. You know, the skull is so thick. You know, if you hit him with the stick in the head, you're not going to do much. You know, I really thought if you shot this dog with a pistol, if you hit him in the head, yeah, good night. But if you just hit him in the body, he might die later, depending where the hit was. But he'd probably still kill you. He wouldn't really know he was hit. He would just keep fighting. The jaw pressure is immense. Their fangs are the size of a big cat. Not an African lion, but maybe they're the size of, you know, one of these 40, 50-pound cats or 60-pound, you know, like a lynx or something like that. You know, they're pretty dangerous dogs. And they got a neck like this, like 22, 24-inch neck or something, or even bigger. And they'll clamp down with tremendous jaw pressure and shake, and it's punishing. So the male would run up to somebody, put his paws up on their chest, and put his mouth in their face and growl and bark right in their face. No fear. And I don't think there would be any challengers. That was because he didn't want to attack them. He didn't know what they were doing, but they weren't clearly in attack mode. Once we had a bad wind from a storm, it blew the fence down, and my neighbor walked in to the yard, and they knew who the neighbor was. And the guy said he just grabbed them by the pants very gently and pulled them out of the yard. The fence was down. They didn't run away. They stayed there to guard the place. I think it was a German Shepherd, walked in through the fence. He wasn't thinking and didn't realize the dogs were there. And he got about 15, 20 feet in. And he looked up and he saw both my Neapolitan Mastiffs staring at him. And then what he did, the dog walked backwards to get out, and they let him. Because they realized it was a mistake. He didn't know what he did. And he was probably somebody's pet. I don't think he was a wild dog. So these things can be, pretty. So anyway, it's the bulldogs that get this cherry eye thing typically. I may go in other breeds or something, but anyway, it reminded me of that. Oh, was I scared when that happened? I was so upset for the dog, And the vet was very nice and encouraging and explaining to me that it's nothing, and it wasn't. Those are crazy dogs, let me tell you. So they're great dogs if you're like, you don't have other people come to the house. And if you have like workmen or something come in to fix the dishwasher or something like that, you've got to put them in the garage or lock them up in a room someplace. Otherwise, they seriously might kill a person. And once they start fighting, you can't stop. They're not going to stop once they start. So, and they generally don't just start messing with other dogs. They're not that nuts. They need to be provoked by another dog. They don't just see a dog and say, "Oh, let me go kill him," like maybe some, bad pit bulls might do. A dog that was in fights where evil people put him in pit fights, So he sees every other dog as a threat. But these guys don't seem to bother. Some dog has to provoke them. And if a dog provokes them, yeah, they will not run away. I had my mail out once, and a Doberman Pinscher was there running at us. He was out with another one or two dogs running around the street. It was a cul-de-sac, and he got about 15 feet away from my mail, and my mail just looked at him. And the Doberman just turned around and ran the other way, all bluff. So he didn't even bark and growl. He would just sit there and stare at him, and that would send the message, "You better get out of my face," But, he was, I used to take them on, both of them individually on walks, sometimes both at the same time, but they were too much. If they saw a dog, and the dog showed aggression, barking at them and stuff, they both lunged at the dog, and I was much younger and in great shape, but to hold two of them, the girl was 100 pounds, he was 125, and they were solid muscle. I don't know how you could hold on to that. They drag you, Once I had the mail out, and a guy came with a pickup truck with two. They were hunting dogs, Labradors or Golden Retrievers or something like that in the back. There might have been Rottweilers, I can't remember. And they started barking at my dog, and he lunged. He was going after the pickup truck with the two of them in it and everything. Then the light changed. I was on the street, and then the light changed, and the truck drove away. But he was going to jump in the truck and fight the both of them. He didn't care. He wouldn't care. Once there was this woman, she had two chows, and they used to go on the top of the fence. There was a high fence. They had a way to get up there or something. They'd bark out at other dogs, and my dog was walking by, and he started barking back at him. And the woman came and said, "Oh, if you know what's good for your dog, you get him out of here." She didn't know what she was dealing with. A chow wouldn't, 20, 30 seconds, the dog would be severely busted up. The chow wouldn't hold up long. The Neapolitan Mastiff can go about 20 minutes in a fight. After that, he's going to lose. If he doesn't kill the dog in the first, 20 minutes, he's going to burn out and probably get killed. But the only dog I know that really would be able to do that and hold up for 20 minutes would be a pit bull that's bred for fighting. And that's an iffy thing because he could break their legs, he could break their spine, he could do a lot of things to them in the first few minutes that wouldn't, rip their neck up and stuff like that. So anyway, enough on dogs. So there you have it with the situation in the world. We'll go into Jeremiah 49 and I'll try to interpret as we go for you. And you'll see it looks like it's coming together here. Verse 1. Concerning the Ammonites, that's Ammon, which is northern Jordan, that's the capital. Thus saith Jehovah, hath Israel no sons, hath he no heir? Why then doth their king, that's the king of Jordan, inherit God, and his people dwelleth in his cities? See, they're on Israel land, Jordan is. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith Jehovah, that I will cause an alarm of war to be heard in Rabbah of the Ammonites, Jordan, and shall be a desolate heap, and her daughters shall be burned with fire. Then shall Israel be heir unto them that were his heirs, saith Jehovah. So that Israel's going to get the land back, not them. They're going to lose it. The continuing whirlwind of the Lord, the controversy of Zion. The year of recompense is the controversy over Zion, the strife over Zion, over Israel. How, O Heshbon, for AI, that's a city, it's not artificial intelligence, is spoiled, cry, you daughters of Rabbah, gird you with sackcloth, lament, and run to and fro by the hedges, for their king shall go into captivity, and his priests and his princes together. Okay. Where'd my coffee go? Hold on. There it is. Verse 4. Wherefore gloriest thou in the valleys, thy flowing valley, O backsliding daughter, that have trusted in her treasures. Now, the word for treasures isn't that necessarily accurate. Let's see what Strong's puts it into English. Armory. Backsliding daughter Israel, that trusts, I believe it's Israel, that trusts in her army and her military. It's saying, who shall come unto me? Behold, now this might not be Israel. I got to see who he's talking about here. Let's keep reading. Behold, I will bring a fear upon thee, saith Jehovah of armies, from all those that be about thee. And you shall be driven out, every man right forth, and none shall gather up him that wandereth. And afterward I will bring again the captivity of the children of Ammon. He's talking about Ammon, Jordan. He's not talking about Israel. Okay? Saith Jehovah. Concerning Edom, thus saith Jehovah of armies, is wisdom no more in Yemen, in Taman. Now, Taman is the word for Yemen in Hebrew. Edom is Yemen. Is counsel perished from the prudent? Is their wisdom vanished? Taman means south, too. Flee you, turn back, dwell deep, O inhabitants of Dedan, that's Saudi Arabia. For I will bring the calamity of Esau upon him, the time that I will visit him. And we're seeing, Saudi Arabia go more and more over to the Russia-Iran side. A few weeks ago, they said they're not selling oil or gas in dollars or euros. they were also saying we got to get an organization of the Arab states together to stop what Israel is doing to Hamas. See, Hamas did an invasion of Israel and burned people alive, cut fetuses out of babies, executed people, burned their houses, raped them, took them hostage. And now Israel is a bunch of dirty pigs for trying to put an end to Hamas, because Hamas said they have every intention of repeating October 7th over and over again. By the way, October 7th might be a bloody day around the world, as the terrorist-oriented people celebrated. Be on guard October 7th. If grape gatherers come to thee, would they not have some gleaning grapes? If thieves by night, they will destroy till they have enough. But I have made Esau bare, I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not. So Esau, it means hairy. It's the son of Isaac, twin brother of Jacob, who sold the birthright for a plate of food or a bowl of food or something. I don't know how it... I don't think it necessarily has applicability to a country. If it did, it would be Edom. I think. Maybe Jordan, but one of those two, I would think. I'm guessing, but I think that's it. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not. Leave thy fatherless children, I will preserve them alive, and let thy widows trust in me. For thus saith Jehovah. Notice how he says, I will let the widows trust. You know, that's it. See, if he doesn't want to call you to Yeshua, you ain't coming. Okay? And the only way to get to Jehovah is through Yeshua. So he controls who comes to him. In these days, back then, when Jeremiah was written, Yeshua they didn't know about. Was not, okay, for thus saith Jehovah, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have assuredly drunken, and art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished? Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of the cup of the wrath of the Lord. So, remember he says he punishes Israel, his children, his people, and he's going to punish the nations too. For I have sworn by myself, saith Jehovah, that Bozrah shall become a desolation, a reproach, a waste, and a curse, and all the cities thereof shall be perpetual waste. That's Bozrah, Syria, or Jordan? Hold on. It could be Jordan, or no, it's Edom. This is Yemen. Bozrah would be Yemen. That Bozrah shall become a desolation, a reproach, a waste, and a curse, and all the cities thereof shall be perpetual waste. I have heard a rumor from Jehovah, and an ambassador is sent unto the heathen, saying, gather you together and come against her, and rise up to the battle. For lo, I will make thee small among the heathen, and despised among men. For lo, I will make thee small among the heathen and despised among men. Thy terribleness hath deceived thee, and the pride of thy heart, O thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, that holdest the height of the hill. Though thou should make thy nest as high as the eagle, I will bring thee down from thence, saith the Lord. And what is he talking about? Which country is this again? Yeah, I think this is Edom, Yemen. Also Edom. Well, it doesn't say in the text also Edom. It just says Edom. Edom is Edom. Edom shall be a desolation, every one. See, when they say also Edom, they make you think that Edom is not, what was it called over here? Bozrah. See how they're twisting it on purpose. The word's not in the text. It would be ode or something for also. It's not there. It just says Edom. Edom shall be a desolation, which is continuous with the Bozrah passages up above. You see how they twist it? Everyone, and they know what they're doing, everyone that goeth by it shall be astonished, and shall hiss at all the plagues thereof. As in the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighbor cities thereof, saith the Lord, saith Jehovah, no man shall abide there, neither shall a son of man dwell in it. Behold, he shall come up like a lion from the swelling of the Jordan against the habitation of the strong, but I will suddenly make him run away from her. And who is the chosen man? So, is this Yemen that's going to come up like a lion from the swelling of the Jordan, which means they get into the swelling of the Jordan is the Jordan River, which is right near where I am in Israel, where the river comes from Jordan and dumps into the Sea of Galilee, the Jordan River. Against the habitation of the strong, and I believe that to be Israel. After the appearing of the Son of Man, we have the everlasting life, and we're in redemption. That would be the strong. I'm assuming, maybe he means now, but I think not. I think after the appearing of the sign of the Son of Man in the clouds. I will suddenly make him run away from her being Israel. And who is the chosen man that I may appoint over her? For who is like me, and who will appoint me the time? And who is that shepherd that will stand before me? So he's either talking about Elijah or Apostle John, the two witnesses, or Yeshua. Those would be my choices. Therefore, hear the counsel of Jehovah that he hath taken against Edom, and his purposes that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Again, we're seeing a tie between Teman, the Hebrew word today for Yemen, and Edom. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. The least of the flock are the feeble, the old people that will fight like David and like the glory of God, and the house of David will fight like the glory of God of Israel. That's in Zechariah 12. That's who the least of the flock is. So this appears to be post-redemption. The earth is moved at the noise of their fall. At the cry, the noise thereof was heard in the Red Sea. Again, Yemen is by the Red Sea. See? Edom, Yemen, Red Sea. Okay. Behold, he shall come up and fly as the eagle, and shall spread his wings over Bozrah. And at that day shall the heart of the mighty men of Edom be as the heart of a woman in her pangs. The heart of the mighty men of Edom be as the heart of a woman in her pangs. Not so good for them. Concerning Damascus, that's the capital of Syria, Hamath is confounded, and Arpad, for they have heard evil tidings, they are faint-hearted. There is sorrow on the sea. That would be the Sea of Galilee or the Dead Sea. I think it's the Sea of Galilee. There is sorrow on the sea, it cannot be quiet. Damascus is waxed feeble and turneth herself to flee. In other words, run away. And fear hath seized on her, anguish and sorrow have taken her as a woman in travail. How is the city of praise not left, the city of my joy? King David ruled out of Damascus for a number of years. Therefore her young men shall fall in her streets, and all the men of war shall be cut off in that day, saith Jehovah of armies. All the army of Syria is cut off in that day. And I will kindle a fire in the wall of Damascus, and it shall consume the palace of Ben-Hadad. Concerning Kedar and concerning the kingdom of Hazor, okay, this is let's save the country for it today. Not so sure. Hold on, let me think. Concerning Kedar and concerning the kingdoms of Hazor, which Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon shall smite, thus saith the Lord. I gotta check on who Kedar is. Hold on a minute. I'm pretty curious about this. I'm not sure which one it is. I think it's Syria. I don't know. We're talking about Saudi Arabia now. Okay. Oh, our friends the Saudis, huh? All right. So we're talking about Saudi Arabia. So I'm in Jeremiah 49, verse 28. Concerning Kedar and concerning the kingdom of Hazor, is probably Saudi also, which Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon shall smite. Thus saith Jehovah, arise you, go up to Kedar, and spoil the men of the east. Their tent and their flocks. You know, in the Bible, there's no UAE or Oman, or it's probably all Arabia, Saudi Arabia today. Their tents and their flocks shall they take away. They shall take to themselves their curtains and all their vessels and their camels, and they shall cry unto them. Fear is on every side. Flee, get you far off. Dwell deep, O you inhabitants of Hazor, saith Jehovah. For Nebuchadrezzar, king of Babel, hath taken counsel against you, and hath conceived a purpose against you. This could be you see, there's, in the daughter of Babylon, it says this Nebuchadrezzar. So there's another Nebuchadrezzar, which would be the president of America, that happens in these very days we're in now. So it could be referencing that or in the past. Arise, get you up unto the wealthy nation that dwelleth without care. That's the Saudis, saith the Lord, which have neither gates nor bars, which dwell alone. And the dwell alone, I believe, is Saudis. And their camels shall be a booty. You know, they do camel racing in Saudi Arabia. They're like, special camels are like racehorses. They'll sell for millions of dollars. It's a racing camel. They can outrun quarter horses, and they can go much further in distance. And they're pretty tough hombres out in this part of the woods. They have no predators. Now, a big tiger or a lion or something like that could probably take a camel out. But, you know, a smaller cat, like, you know, a puma, 125, 100-pound cat, I don't think could do much to a camel. A camel would grab him by the neck and shake him and stomp him and all kinds of things, kick him. And, you know, you're talking about a hoof, you know, like this, that's big and heavy and a powerful leg, and if they kicks a predator, it's good night, you know. If the predator limps away, it's going to have broken bones. Their camels shall be a booty, and the multitude of their cattle was spoiled. Well, again, they buy prize bulls, Brahmin bulls, for hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars and stuff like that. You know, they have Arabian racehorses or expensive, you know, they got all this stuff, the Saudis. And I will scatter into all winds them that are in the utmost corners, and I will bring their calamity from all sides thereof, saith the Lord. Well, a few days ago they announced that I think they asked Erdogan to unite all the Arab states against Israel. Saudis are asking for it from Jehovah, and they'll get it. And Hazor shall be a dwelling for dragons, and a desolation forever. There shall no man abide there, nor any son of man dwell in it. The word of Jehovah that came to Jeremiah the prophet against Elam in the beginning of the reign of Zedekiah, king of Judah, saying, now the prophecy was not for the days of Zedekiah, it was given in the days of Zedekiah. And Elam, you need to understand, Elam is composed of parts of today Iran, Iraq, and Syria. These parts that constituted Elam in the old are run, owned, operated, controlled, administered, defended by Syria, Iraq, and Iran. So it would be pretty logical to assume this prophecy is against Iran, Iraq, and Syria. Thus saith Jehovah of armies, behold, I will break the bow of Elam. Now it says Damascus separately because there's modern day geography changes is all. Okay? So Elam may not have been in Syria in the years to pass, but it would be Syria today. I will break the bow of Elam. Now what does Elam do with a bow? They shoot arrows, which is missile launching. That's one way of looking at it. the chief of their might. Now, the most of their military might is their shooting in the arrows, which are the missiles, and that's going to get broken. So the ability for Iran to launch missiles is going goodbye. Jeremiah 49:36, and upon Elam will I bring the four winds from the four quarters of heaven, and will scatter them towards all those winds, and there shall be no nation whither the outcasts of Elam shall not come. For I will cause Elam to be dismayed before their enemies, and before them that seek their life, and I will bring evil upon them, even my fierce anger, saith Jehovah, and I will send the sword after them till I have consumed them. So enemies in the plural are going to go after Elam, which is those three countries today, and they're going to get it bad. And look what they do. Syria, enemy of Israel. Iraq, enemy of Israel. Iran, enemy of Israel. Attacking Israel. There you have it. It's real simple. That's why there's going to be an attack on Iran, and it should be in these days right now, and it's going to be enemies, plural. There's going to be multiple states attacking Iran, and you're seeing the build-up to this. And I will set my throne in Elam. That doesn't mean he's going to reign out of Elam. It means he's going to, Solomon would sit on the throne to do judgment. When the people came, he would judge them. It means he's going to judge Elam. It doesn't say in Elam, it says Elam. So it says, and I will set. Okay, that's 4 words for one word in Hebrew, which means to put. So you could say put or set. And then it says kisei, which is it could be a seat or a throne. So it's okay to say throne, I suppose. And will destroy from thence. The word for destroy is abad. Vanish, maybe. Vanish from thence the king and the princes, saith Jehovah. But it shall come to pass in the latter days that I will bring again the captivity of Elam, saith Jehovah. Well, the latter days would probably be about 60 years away, towards the end of the second 70 years of Daniel 9:24, which doesn't say 70 weeks in every Hebrew Bible. It says 70. So there's no week I ever heard of consisting of the 70. So anyway, they get it. So this is, of course, not taught by the church. Why should they teach you this? You'd know more about what's going to happen. So they don't teach you this, and but it still is in your Bible, and it still is unfulfilled. So. So, at some point, you guys really need to make a decision. You're going to follow what the Bible says, or you're going to follow what the church says. And they're not the same thing. That's up to you. As for me, I'll follow the Bible. So thank you for praying that I get this customs thing done. I appreciate it. Please pray for me and my wife for our peace, safety, protection, joy, healing. Pray for our finances. Pray for better videos. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. And pray. I guess that's about it for now. I hope you got something out of this. Please hit the thumbs up button if you don't mind. It takes you 2 seconds. And I guess that's it for today. It was a lot. I mean, you're seeing prophecy fulfilled here that the church doesn't ever talk about, do they? No. They don't. They got everybody chasing their tail with Gog and Magog, which is going to happen 60-some years down the road. Something like that, roughly. And they got everybody waiting for that now, which is a farce. So, if you're interested in getting my emergency broadcast live streams when the eggs hit the fan, you'll subscribe. If not, not. Okay. So I send my shalom to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach. And I'm sorry for the interruption. I'm just trying frantically. Netanyahu keeps increasing the red tape in Israel. And I know why he does it. Not that it has any practical value. He does it to make life miserable for the Israelis. That's why he does it. And many other nations too. It has no value. Okay? So, if any of you want to do spiritual warfare, go for it. But just remember, you can't use spiritual warfare to deter Jehovah's timetable or what he's going to do. It won't work. But feel free. Okay, kids, I'm out. Thank you.